Hi, so I'm doing this contest. I will post the link to the original video as the first comment, in which if you successfully predict the most of my top 5 of the post-FZ releases, you post it in the comments. The first person to get the most right wins. You get 1 vote. More of the rules on that video. You win this. Yes, I will send you this album if you guess the most. Or if you win, I will not send you this album if that is your preference. I will also throw in at this point strictly commercial because I did find my extra copy of that. Possibly another one. I'll announce it if I find it. But the cool thing is, it's been only 24 hours since I posted the contest. Already, the guesses have featured 14 of the 22 remaining releases, and one of the people who didn't guess but told me his top 5 means that 16 of the 22 releases have been guessed by people, which just shows you how ridiculously strong and deep and incredible the rest of this catalog is. Like, there are no bad albums remaining. It's just a matter of like nitpicking at this point. We're just nitpicking. Hello, welcome to my channel. Thanks for watching. My name is Shaggy, the Opinionated Hippie, currently ranking and reviewing every single Frank Zappa album released after he passed in December of 1993. Our cat is scratching my leg right now. And I'm currently on number 22 out of 55, One Shot Deal. This album was released in 2008, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, right before my birthday in 2008. And it is a live compilation of just, at the time, previously unreleased live material. There doesn't seem to be much of a thread as to why anything was released. It's a pretty random collection of material. The sequencing of the collection is fantastic. The material is friggin' amazing. And so the question I kind of had to ask myself is, why in the world is this number 22? And I'm at that point where I'm looking for reasons that something is not number 1, because I'm just arbitrarily decided that ranking these had to be the structure of these reviews. I have to find reasons why everything can't be number 1. So the 2 reasons why this is not number 1 is duration. It is 1 CD long, that is it. It is only 51 minutes and 51 seconds, apparently is the complete time in this. And it was on CD. It could have been 80 minutes long because that's how much music you can put on a CD. You know, it's not like it's apostrophe the album, and if you want to flesh it out to 80 minutes, it's all this stuff that's not apostrophe. No, this is a compilation of live material. There is no reason this could not have been a full 75, 80 minutes long. There is enough material out there to make this a great live release. So I'm holding that against it. And then also, since then, though I do think this album is better than most of the albums that I'm referring to, some of this material has been released on following releases, because it falls under the sort of umbrella of the other releases. So it was kind of necessarily had to be released to sort of satisfy the requirements of, like, for example, Illinois Enema Bandit on here is from the Halloween 81 show. So when they released Halloween 81, of course, we had to have duplication. So because of those things, I'm knocking this back to 22. But I listen to this a lot. It's a great album. It contains one of my all-time favorite Frank Zappa solos. It contains a couple incredible conceptual continuity moments. It is worth owning. It is worth listening to. I would rank it easily like 9.5, 9.6 or somewhere up there, even with the duplication of material, even with Illinois Enema Bandit, which I'm not that big of a fan of generally. It is a friggin' fantastic release. Also, before I actually start talking about the songs, Texas does not know whether it is summer or winter. So I made a video yesterday and I was sweating because it was so hot in this room. It is really, really cold today, and we're in the middle of April. So the beanie's back. But anyways, this is what is on this disc. 51 minutes, 51 seconds. There are 9 tracks. And it is essentially, you get 4 tracks in the beginning, which are like very, there is a guitar solo, but it has a very spacey, jammy, somewhat very heavy instrumental, kind of a very loose vibe. in like the first 4 tracks. Then you get 2 monster guitar solos. And then you end with 3 songs that are, pretty well structured form songs. So that transition from the loose, more improv-y stuff to the solos to the songs, it's a really nice journey. And like the Illinois Enema Bandit, which is the first actual sort of real song on here, sounds better on here than I think any other Illinois Enema Bandit because of precisely where it appears. And even though this is the same version that is on Halloween 81, I enjoy this one way much more because of how it comes out of what it comes out of, because of the flow of this album. So I have to give much credit to that for whoever sequenced this and found this material and put this together like this. So here's what is on this. The first track is called Bathtub Man. It is the Cosmic Debris solos from a fall 74 Cosmic Debris. So you get the George Duke solo, you get a fantastic Frank guitar solo, and that is it. You don't get any lyrics, you don't get the da-na-na-na, da-na-na-na, you get none of that. You just get the solos, and that is how this CD opens up, with a really funky but relaxed but still kind of intense Cosmic Debris solo section from the best band that Frank ever had. You get, that's followed by something called Space Boogers, which is part of an improv from that same incredible best band Frank ever had, 74 band. It's from a Big Swifty, and it's interesting. You get like 30 seconds of this Big Swifty like improv that's mostly heavy on the George Duke keyboards, that very spacey sound he would use, that kind of weird, almost has like a crystalline vibe about it. But also it's very spacey and lasery. So you get some of that George Duke led improv, then you get a little studio chatter, then you get the same 30 seconds of Big Swifty George Duke with a little extra before it goes into Hermitage, which would later be released on the Orchestral Favorites 40th anniversary as Evening at the Hermitage. So the 2 minutes of this Hermitage, which was like an improv section that Frank led of that orchestra, all of the 2 minutes of this are the first 2 minutes of the Evening at the Hermitage, which isn't much longer than that. Then that goes into Trudging Across the Tundra, which is a improv jam session featuring a great horn solo from the Petit Wazoo show, a November Petit Wazoo show. Frank had this really, for taking such a large band out on the road, and even he did this with the Grand Wazoo tour earlier, he had a lot of improv. He had a lot of solos. He really made them stretch out and kind of like, challenge themselves. And for the Petit Wazoo tour, there was almost every show, at least every set list I've seen and every tape I've heard, there's a moment where he's like, we're just going to play something. And then he tells the band, hey, let's do a boogie in C or whatever he does. And they play something, and there's probably obviously some pre-planned or maybe suggested ideas beforehand, but it's mostly improv, and there are moments when you can tell Frank's conducting parts of the orchestra, sort of that directed improvisation, and people are soloing. And a lot of them are, several of them, and I will talk about them more when I discuss Little Dots and the other Petit Wazoo. Little Dots, and what is the other Petit Wazoo album, Imaginary Diseases, have examples of these jams, and they had a very sort of like, it was a very sort of laid back kind of vibe, kind of similar to the Roland's, the Strut Vindaloo jam from Everything Is Healing Nicely, sort of a really more laid back, just, it's a very, I don't know, they were really laid back, chill, kind of relaxing type vibes. Like if you were into like smoking and just kicking back and drinking a beer, that kind of jam, like not these frantic things. I mean, this is one of those steadier jams. And the bass line that kind of runs through quite a bit of it, Frank would take that bass line, and he used it as the bass line for the like spring, summer, Don't Eat the Yellow Snows that were played on that tour, of which one of them is on the end of this disc. And so the official version is like dun 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 dun. It's like this 2-part dun 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 dun, right? The 73 version, from which the bass line from trudging across the tundra was taken and used is just the first part of that, where it's a really hyper in your face, like da 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 da. It's like short, it's like much more in your face, much crazier, much more like theatrical hyper. But that bass line at a slightly slower pace, like a da 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 da, kind of repeated. I am probably singing those notes wrong. I'm really bad at singing. But it's a much shorter phrase. But Frank took that bass line from this and used it as inspiration for Don't Eat the Yellow Snow. That is why this is called Trudging Across the Tundra. And even if you don't care about that story, it is a great solo and a great jam. So anyways, sorry, that went on way too long. Next, one of the best things the ZFT has ever released, Occam's Razor. This is the full-length Inca Roads 1979 guitar solo, from which Toto Line / On the Bus, the solo from Joe's Garage, was taken. That Joe's Garage solo, which is like, you get a solo, you get Frank talking, you get the rest of the solo. It's about 3.5 minutes long, I think, somewhere around there. This, in its entirety, which includes the return to Inca Roads, the da-na-na-na-na, before the craziness, is 9 minutes and 11 seconds. So it is, if you are familiar with the Joe's Garage version, you will easily recognize that this is the original solo. It is very obvious. It is amazing to see how Frank took this beast of a performance and edited it down to 3.5 minutes and made sense of it. Both of them are incredible. This is twice as much and more. So, and it's not disappointing. Frank didn't edit out the bad parts. Frank just shortened the thing. It is fantastic. If you are unfamiliar with the Joe's Garage solo and you're just getting into Frank, and you're interested in this album, listen to the Joe's Garage solo first. Like, listen to it a lot. Like, get to know it. I think it's worth the time. It's worth the effort. The album's worth the time. But knowing that solo to the point where you can almost, like, you know what's coming next, to then listen to this, which is, you know, what happened to me. This came out in 2008, so I had been listening to Joe's Garage for, like, 2 decades by then. It was just amazing. It just blows my mind. It's just one of those things. I think the enjoyment was that much more. So give the Toto Line On the Bus solo a chance before you listen to this, if you're interested in this. Talking way too much. The next one is Heidelberg, which is a Yo Mama solo from Heidelberg. This is from the absolutely fantastic Spring 78 tour, which is one of my favorite bands. This is a Yo Mama solo from that. It sounds like all Yo Mama solos. I mean, it's different, but it has that same really spacey start, and then it builds in intensity and gets bigger and bigger. This is a 5-minute solo, so half the length of the Inca Road solo that precedes it, but still pretty good. Then you get the Illinois Enema Bandit, the same one that is on Halloween 81. Its placement on this CD is fantastic. That's followed by Australian Yellow Snow, that early version of Yellow Snow from which the bass line from Trudging Across the Tundra was taken, or vice versa. But the interesting thing about this is, once Crux of the Biscuit was released, which was a project object look at the Apostrophe album, there is a much longer, actually the full version of the Australian Yellow Snow on that. This is a shortened version, so it's about 7 minutes shorter. It is from the following night. The shortened version is because of an edit. So what it normally was is, that version was, it's the hyper more active Don't Eat the Yellow Snow. Nanook Rubs, it almost sounds the same. St. Alfonso usually sounds the same. Father Oblivion is mostly the same. But at the end of Father Oblivion, there's a couple parts, and there's one part where Frank goes, now play that really, 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 really fast. And they run through St. Alfonso's again really fast. And then at one point in the middle of that, Frank stops the band, and when he goes, when I stole the margarine, he spells margarine, M-A-R-J-U-H-R-E-N-E. And he gives each letter a meaning. M is for marsupial, which you have here in Australia. A is for Australia, things like this. And so the difference between this version and that version is, they cut out the really fast part, they cut out the Father Oblivion, and they go straight from the first St. Alfonso's into the spelling of margarine. And so that's kind of cool. But you get different letters, you get different things. So M is something different, A is something different, R is something different. He's joking around. And so it's really interesting to see how he's having fun and improvising this at the moment. He does repeat one of the same things, and he even says in this one, like, and the hyphen is for, and I said it last night, and I'm going to say it again tonight. So it's interesting to actually have the first complete version and part of the second version. And the part they edited out was pretty much the same every night, so it's not like, oh no, I wish I had heard that, but it would have been nice to have 2 complete versions, especially since there's like 29 more minutes left on this CD, so there's no excuse. But this is a great version to have, and then the entire CD closes out with Rollo, a shortened version, but the same performance that is on Orchestral Favorites, the 40th anniversary edition. So you do get repeats. Illinois, Yellow Snow, Rollo are kind of repeats, and Hermitage is kind of a repeat. But other than that, maybe that's the theme. Maybe the Space Boogers is somewhere, and I'm not realizing that it's out there somewhere in the catalog. And I'm like, wait, maybe all this stuff's been released before. But no, some of it came afterwards. I'm not now realizing that. I'm just tired is what I am. So anyways, that is it. I have talked way too long about this, but I love this album. It really is a good album. I had to make up reasons to have a 22, so it's too short, and some of the stuff's been released. But if you have it, let me know what you think of it. If you don't have it and you get it, I'd love to know what you think of it. So I want to try to make sure I'm telling the truth in these things and getting the right word out. So that's it. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you haven't, so other people can witness this and hopefully have some advice from Brian Frank and all that kind of stuff. All right, peace, guys. It's supposed to be cold in Texas tonight. This is crazy. All right, bye.